Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday, January 25th. Got a great show for you this morning. We're going to talk about earnings. You know, earnings season kicked off last week. A ton of earnings this week, so pretty excited. Big names you've heard of, Microsoft, Tesla, Apple, which is the one we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk specifically about the Apple expectations as far as their earnings. We're talking about iPhone12 sales, not only here in the United States, but also in China. They put up some amazing numbers. If you followed Apple on Friday, was up huge. It's already up pre-market this morning, up to a new all-time highs of 143 or so. So really the stock is on fire. Can that continue through earnings? That's what we're going to talk about today. If you're catching us on replay, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you want to join us in the morning, we have a chat window and a Q&A window that you don't see. It's $25 a month. Invest that into yourself. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back, everyone. Make sure you have your chat window set up as well as your Q&A window set up. And standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before taking any action on to anything that you hear this morning. All right, full disclaimer info is available at OTOTnow.com. All right, mission objectives. We're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Specifically, we're talking about Apple, which has been the number one theme for me personally, and basically number one holding for pretty much the book since I started in business back in 2013. So a lot of gains in Apple. For those that have been with me a long time, you're looking at 350% off those initial holdings. And with those, we've also had some covered calls along the way. I always use that on my own holdings. Some people like them, some people don't. Some people don't understand them. That's okay. But I basically have an extra dividend there riding with the covered call on my shares. And today we're going to talk about, in our question of the day, is how to roll a covered call out and up. I will say personally, I've had my calls covered at 140, meaning the price of Apple. Below 140, put a call there as soon as it exceeds 140, and Apple's up at 143 this morning. Now my first order of business this morning is to take my call from 140 and roll it out and up, so up in price and out in time, so my shares don't get called away. So that'll be the first order of business this morning. That is a good problem to have, because that means the underlying security has been on fire, and it really has. So we'll get more into that in a little bit. All right, our flow is long, short, open, short, long. We're going to do a around the world market review coming off the big weekend. We'll do some headline review, a lot of interesting stuff, including some sports things that happened this weekend. Long-term investments, we're going to talk exclusively about Apple today and what we can expect out of earnings and some of the numbers involved. For short-term execution, I did put some names in the chat. I don't like any of them. Nothing. I found zero that met my own personal criteria. Those are some names we're going to look at. I don't anticipate trading anything this morning. We'll check back to see if something holds. But on the short side, I don't see anything that's going down today. We'll get to the futures here in a second, but the Nasdaq's up big. On the futures wise, the Dow is down and the S&P is even or so. We'll get into the short-term execution around the market and then get to our question today. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A window and I will address those all along the way. Any contingencies are standard and academic resources available on the website. All right, let's go ahead and do our standard market review and take a look at where we've been. Again, you're looking at the S&P 500 chart here on TD Ameritrade Think Pipes. And basically, once you look at it from here, you don't have that big The big sell-off in March is already off the screen, so therefore it looks kind of like a straight line up, even through the election. And all the volatility that I expected was really kind of didn't turn out to be much. We hit highs on Friday, and then of course we have the Nasdaq looking to go higher today. When you zoom in a little bit on the last 5 days, again, it's the S&P 500 moving up last week on, this is Tuesday, 4-day week last week. So this was Tuesday and Wednesday, and then kind of flatline Thursday and Friday. And again, about flat for the S&P 500 going into this week. Pretty toppy. I wouldn't be surprised if the next move is down. I keep saying that, and it just keeps, not happening. But don't be surprised when it does. It's not going to be a big deal, in my opinion. All right, and then for setting up for our day trade, I have 4 screens. Apple, 142 was up over 143 this morning. Palantir, if you've been following that story, up 25% Friday. It's up about 5% this morning. That's why we're going to take a look at these long. And then Luckin Coffee back up above 10. Thin trading in Luckin, so you can't put a lot into that, but it's a name we follow. We've been making a killing. We got into as low as $1.18 for the cost basis. So 10x in that holding. Pretty excited about that. All right, let's go over to the headlines, bringing up CNBC right now. And there we go. Refresh these real quick. So you can see the NASDAQ as these refresh. NASDAQ up 1% basically. And S&P up slightly and the Dow down slightly. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and take a look around the world. Europe in the red. Surprising the U.S. markets are holding up as well as they are, considering down 1% plus basically in the red for virus concerns. Asia all in the green, so that's pretty cool. Here's our numbers from Friday. So NASDAQ eked out a gain. Again, largely that was Apple up big, 3% plus. Palantir up 25% plus. Was an increase in volatility. Remember, the volatility last week got down to around 16 or so. One of you talked about buying it at 15 and then taking the ride up. It never got there. Went to 16 and that was it. Bonds, not much movement. Oil, not much movement. Gold and silver up fractionally, and then checking in on Bitcoin, up 6%, up to around 35,000. It did dip below 30,000 last week, if you're following along that storyline. I think it just continues up this week as well. All right. Back to our headlines, sports headlines, right? Football, Brady and Mahomes going to be in the Super Bowl. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Hopefully it's a good game. A couple of good playoff games this weekend, though. And McGregor lost. I enjoy watching him from an entertainment value perspective, but I also enjoy watching him lose. I didn't watch the fight real time. We were out of town for volleyball, so I didn't see it, but I did watch the headlight, and that was kind of fun. Such a cocky, arrogant SOB that to see him lose is a good time. But we'll see what he does from here. Does he come back? Yes, he will, because he'll come back for the money. And, he does get a little bit of a bad rap, but he does some amazing work charity-wise with the money that he makes. So it's not like he's just making a money grab in these fights. He's turning around and putting that money back to work, which is actually pretty cool and kind of surprising, right? You wouldn't associate that normally with his personality. But all right, enough on sports. GameStop, if you've been watching that craziness, that's a short squeeze. It's been up and down. It's been moving 50% a day. Overall, the industry's dead. You would not want to go into GameStop as a long-term theme, right? Because you can just download these games online. That's not, don't pick it up long term, but if you want to get in there and trade that name, hop in with everybody else. It's like the top thing to trade out there. All right, we know that one of the themes is the electric vehicle theme going into the Democratic administration, so they will get money and incentives for that. Hey, drove by the Gigafactory here in Austin. It's pretty amazing. Again, the Cybertruck's going to be made here. That place is going up so fast. It's off of 130 down by the airport. If you haven't driven by it, just really, really, really cool facility. It's supposed to be all one building, right? So my kids were like, "Whoa, check that out!" And I was like, "Whoa, check that out!" I mean, it's that big. All right. Let's see what else we have. The vaccine rollout continues. Nothing new on that. Some SPACs. When you see this WPF over here in the long in the chat, probably won't talk about it too much, but again, that's a SPAC that is in play, special purpose acquisition company. One thing I'm going to talk about tomorrow is Roblox. The direct listing is coming up soon. It was supposed to happen in January. Now it's rolled to February. But familiar with the gaming company Roblox? I call it Minecraft on steroids. My kids don't play it, so I'm not as familiar as I should be, but I do know that it's going to print money. So that direct listing is going to be our next big move up there. Ooh, I haven't heard about this. Kevin Durant and Chris Paul in a banking app called Goal Setter. Let me make a note to check that out. Those are some big names to be behind something. So they'll find out more about that. AMC, again, the movie theaters have they've declared bankruptcy. Well, it looks like bankruptcy is not going to happen. Somebody's putting $900 million in the movie theaters. So the idea is when we're all released from our lockdowns, we're going to go out and spend a crap ton of money. Probably, actually, I kind of buy that, especially here in America. I don't know if movies are going to be the way to do it. I think people have dumped a lot of money in setting up your home theater. I mean, a lot of people already had them anyway, but certainly upgrading things while we're all locked at home. So I don't know. We shall see. I'm not putting money in behind Left 4 Dead movie theaters. That is for sure. All right, there's your Super Bowl lineup. Pretty excited about that. Here's an interesting headline. I saw this earlier. Sitting out the Super Bowl to fund ads aimed at boosting COVID awareness. Why would they set it out? Why wouldn't they boost ads during the Super Bowl, paying the same amount of money for the biggest exposure you could get? Maybe that's what this means. I don't know. But why not take that time and energy and the creative value that the brand has and run that during Super Bowl? I'm cool with that. Anyhow, all right, we shall see. Let's talk about Apple real quick. So, it's our theme of the day. It's our number one holding, personally, professionally, all of that. We've ridden the wave. They had a split back in here. You're looking at the FinViz. Somewhere in here, they announced that split. It's probably exactly right here. So it's a 4-for-1 split. So again, at 143 times 4, what is that? Why can't I do math this morning? 560. With 142, so almost 570 with the long-term hold there. I think that is I think it does have more room to the upside. I think 150 might be a challenge. That's where I'm going to put the calls to up there. So anyhow, big run up. When you look at, is it overpriced? I mean, when you're looking at Tesla, when you get down to the numbers down here, you get into, it does pay a little bit of a dividend where like Tesla doesn't. It has a forward P of 31 where Tesla's is like 800. So really you're getting a product, some of the best products out there as far as the iPhone 12. I was going to talk about those numbers real quick. And services out there with your subscription stuff. So 18 million Q4. These are Q4 iPhone 12 numbers sold in China. They have a 20% market share in China, and that is pretty impressive. And then prior to the iPhone 12, they only had a 10%. So basically, doubled their market share in China, which is absolutely huge. And then they produced 96 million iPhone 12s. I'm sorry, that's the prediction. 96 million in the first half of 2021, which is an increase of 30% from whatever they've done before. So, I mean, they are on fire as far as getting these things off the shelf. Jaden, I see your question there. I love Tencent Holdings. We're going to come back to that since I mentioned video games. That's a good question. We'll get through the market open and then take a look. All right, as far as our going over here to Schwab, there's our Apple. We'll actually pull it up here on this screen. So there's your Apple and the move up. You think it's in the news a little bit? Yeah, millions of articles every day. That's why it's one of our top holdings. I did want to bring up this SPAC though. If you wanted to trade something this morning, again, I don't plan on it, but again, here's this fully backed SPAC upgrade, all kinds of stuff going on. It's running higher. So just want to shout real quick before we go over to the TD Ameritrade and get ready for the open. All right, here's our 4 screens on the ThinkPipe platform. We have SPY all the way to the left. That's 1%. We have Apple here. I do expect it to pop at the open. We have Palantir, which again has been running higher, and then we'll put the WPF over here, which is the SPAC that is in play. We'll keep an eye on these as the market opens here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. We started right. All right. S&P up a little more than it was, up to 0.22. Have Apple at the 3% mark. I think, with Apple, it's going to be more of there's who's selling here, right? It's kind of the Bitcoin theory of, who's really selling. I mean, there's traders in something every day, right? But who's taking their long-term Apple and selling here? If anything, you're trimming. I got that. I trim Apple sometimes to free up money for other things like Palantir. I probably sold some Apple to get into Palantir, but so any movement here, I think, is going to be either to the upside or it's going to be basically flat. When you kind of move out to a 5-day chart on Apple, or a 2-day chart as it's depicted here. I mean, all the way down at 135, it's basically tacked on $8 a share in a day and a half. So kind of crazy there. So I do expect it to either hold or go higher from here. All right, Palantir is screaming higher this morning. So opened here at 34. Look at it go, 35. It's almost up 9-10%. So that I don't know. So somebody asked me on Friday, they're like, "What's your long-term thesis on Palantir?" And I said, "Hold." And they're like, "What's your price target?" I'm like, "I don't have one." This is a name that. So the reason they popped Friday is because they're doing a demo day, which I'm a little bit concerned about. So you have Palantir as your, hey, we found Bin Laden. We're the advanced, data is the new oil theme. We are the best out there. We have government contracts and we're printing more every day. Some civilian firms are now using us now. They're on fire. And they're having a demo day here in a couple of weeks where they're going to go open kimono and show us exactly what they're doing. I don't know why you would do that, right? If you have the secret sauce of data analysis, which I don't know if there is a secret sauce, but if you had it, why would you have a demo day? I mean, I don't get it. So I think there's some risk there that, they do a demo day and it flops, right? It's one of those buy the rumor, sell the news events. So I do think of all the money that's being made here, if you have an oversized position left over from the direct listing, which remember we all bought in at $10. So now you're looking at, well, it's at 36 now. So what's that, 250, 260% gain off of this? I think there's time to take a little Palantir off the table. I really do. But long-term hold, I think this is a $100 stock in 3 or 4 years. But I think you could protect some of your gains just by taking a little bit off. If you're not in the name, I would not get into Palantir name. Totally wait until that demo day. Worst case, it runs higher and you don't get any. Best case is it drops because people are, selling the news off of demo day. All right, Matt, look at that. Just, 15%, just screaming higher. Okay, WPF, let's check out that. That again is the special purpose acquisition company. They made a deal with Blackstone. I'm trying to see if they announced what Alight Solutions, but I don't see what the actual storyline is behind that. Excuse me. All right, yeah, I can't pick out the storyline real time. So we'll get rid of that. So we have Apple here going higher like we thought. Palantir screaming higher. Let's take a look at 10-cent holdings, which is above 10. We talked about this earlier. That I would love for that to be true, that it's at $98. I about crap myself there because that would be, I'd go off air and go buy a Lambo with the gains of that were the case. So why is that showing that? That's not right. So excited I can't type. Well, I wish, why do I keep, that's why I keep putting the wrong ticker in there. We'll get back to that, Jaden, I promise. I do want to look at Luckin first. There, that's more like it. I was like, holy cow, Luckin at 90. Woo! All right. So here we are with Luckin Coffee, again, above 10. It was above 10 not too long ago. So we got to zoom out to kind of give you the full story here. Yeah, need even a little more zooming out to get to the real story. So here you are down at the $2 point. Even before that, back in here, we bought down at $1. Here was the big move up. So I would just want to check the highs. So 1066 here, 1065 there for the highs. So it's getting back to the highs. I would not buy into it now. So it's one of those stories that wait to see if it goes back into the sevens. I personally don't think it does, but I would not be excited about it right now. If anything, just wait, chill, find something else. But if it does come in, I would pick up some Luckin. I've got a price target of at least 20 before I'm going to sell. So that's my take on Luckin Coffee. All right, 10-cent holdings. What do I love about 10-cent holdings? Well, basically everything. Uh, it was troubled under Trump. So 10-cent holdings, I used to talk about this all the time, Jaden, long before you were in the room. And when I got into 10-cent holdings, it's because of Fortnite. So kids came home one day like, Fortnite's the greatest game ever, and I was like, say what? Tell me about it, right? So Allie starts saying, oh yeah, it's free. You just go to the, it's a major multiplayer game, and you can play it from your phone, and it's free. And I'm like, really? That's different from the model ever before, right? You always had to pay, $50 for your Call of Duty, or whatever the coolest thing was, your Grand Theft Auto. So they're offering us for free, and it's like, well, now I need, I logged in, I played, I got my little profile, started playing it, and yeah, perfect, Jaden. I agree with you 100%. So it's like I started hearing this, and I started, hearing my other parents, complaining about how their kids were buying skins for 50 cents and how they're dumping like $20-$30 a month into this stupid game. And I was like, I got to get in on this, right? So in I went. Well, so Epic Games is the owner or the creator of Fortnite. They're not a public company, but 10-cent Holdings owns 40% of Epic Games. So it's like, boom, done. We'll buy the parent company and call it good. Now, it did run into some trouble with Trump, right? Because Trump went hard after China. So it got lumped in with everything else. So 10-cent Holdings, all of a sudden, there's all this negativity. You do have, excuse me, country risk in China for sure, because at the end of the day, it's a communist country, but their capitalist arm is amazing, right? So they're in huge middle class, 6 times bigger than ours. It is the place to put some money for sure. So 10-cent Holdings, if you rode the wave here, as you look at the chart, from anywhere in the 60s, even here, if you bought it after the election, which is why this big run up, right? So here's the election here ish. It actually sold off after the election. But then as we get closer to the inauguration, it's moving back up, right? Is Biden going to be as tough on China as Trump? No way, right? If anything, he's going to be accommodative, if that's too many syllables this morning. But yeah, so I would not buy it here, but I do love the fact that some folks have it here. I do have some in the book. So it is a great holding. Also, the way I've changed my exposure slightly is from from having the individual names, IQ, 10-cent Holdings, Baidu, Baba. I still have a ton of Baba. Luckin is just going to KWeb. KWEB again is an all around Chinese play. All right. Predator, good morning. Welcome. Glad you could join us. You couldn't buy skins on your Asteroids and Pong account. Oh yeah, back in the day. Yeah, showing our age there, right? And Jaden, I do appreciate you chiming in, because it's good to get your perspective on things as an individual as well as an investor. And you're right, Predator and I are a little bit older, and yeah, back in the day you couldn't just dump a bunch of money. But how brilliant is it to be able to sit there and with the and that's why we're getting into Roblox. And I know why you brought this up, Jaden, is because I said that name and you're like, oh yeah, video games. So Roblox is a direct listing that's coming up. And Jaden, if you have any experience using this, go ahead and free to chime in there. RBLX is going to be the ticker. It's going to be a direct listing like Palantir, so they're going to have a price and it's going to be immediately available. I already have a ledger started of how much people want to put in on this thing. I will probably throw a sizable chunk at it as well and see. And if it drops, we're going to buy more like Palantir did right away. If it doesn't, if it screams higher, then we slap high fives and move on. So, okay, never really played it there. I think honestly the target demographic is your like 5 to 10-year-olds. Kind of like a Minecraft, which I didn't play either, but I think you from a complexity standpoint kind of age out of the building block thing, right? But yeah, if people are using this as a babysitter, like I did with iPad back in the day, iPad and Wiggles, right? So but it's a way the kids can honestly they're screaming at their parents to be able to put some money into this so they can make money. I mean, it's a brilliant business model. So all right, let's take a look at what else is going on in the world here. Good conversation this morning. Thanks for chiming in. Excuse me. Palantir up 20, Clickstream up 14. Laser up 9. Again, you know I love that name. Moderna surprisingly going up 9. There must be a headline associated with Moderna there. I mean, I know the vaccine headline, but I think it's the strain. They said they've come out with a vaccine for the strain that's coming out in Africa, if you've read about that. There's 10-cent holdings bouncing around 8%. I like it. Luckin Coffee. Come on, Luckin. Obviously, that was my story of 2020. I don't know what will the story of 2021 will be. It might be Roblox. We'll see. But Luckin beat the pants off of Palantir as far as total return in 2020. There's the K-Web. That's what I was talking about. Is for your Chinese tech. If you just blanket say I want it all, it's on fire. Here's Bitcoin exposure. If you're not into it and you want a piece, let me know. GBTC, again, it's an indirect holding of Bitcoin. Neo's an EV name that's been up, so a lot of names are up today. Dow's still in the red by 0.5%, so that's kind of funny because those are the big 30 US names that are like yawn, but everything else is screaming higher, it seems. Even saw Zoom bouncing around in here. All right, what's down today? Delta Airlines. Yeah, I have this in the book against my will. Client wanted it. And it goes. All right, Raytheon. I like Raytheon. Raytheon has been cheap for a long time. I bought into it. It seems to just never go up. Kind of pisses me off because it should be higher. There's going to be a day when Raytheon makes that 50 to 100% move higher, though, and I hope I'm patient enough to still be in it when it does. All right, let's look at some other names here. So not many in the red, really. I don't see any big shockers there. So, all right, let's go look and see where Palantir topped out. Topped out at 30. It might run into some serious resistance at 40, just because that's every 10 seems to be kind of a ceiling there. But when you look at the volume, look at the bottom each minute, there's still, until for 10 straight minutes where you're looking over 1 million shares each minute. Kind of crazy. 10 cent up 8 we talked about. Let's get back out to Luckin real quick and I'll get over to the 1022. I like that. All right, let's get focused in on Luckin. All right, let's talk about, last thing we're going to talk about is, let's look at Apple real quick, and let me back this out just a touch. So I had my previous calls here. We'll actually leave this on this chart for talking about covered calls instead of going to Investopedia. So literally mine are sitting here right now. So as soon as so again, you have the underlying position, which is, at least we'll just say 100 shares. It might be a little more than that. Say it's 100 shares. And a covered call, again, like we talked about Friday, is you draw a contract up and saying, hey, whoever wants to buy it, and again, say I did it back here, whoever wants to buy my shares at 140, I'll give you a coupon to do that. However, you got to pay me, $300. You're like, okay. If nobody buys it from me, then there's no deal. If somebody buys it, they have, the right to buy, the option to buy your shares at 140. Anytime between now and the expiration date. They can go out years, but generally at 30 to 60 day window. So boom, I made that deal with somebody, and this is hypothetical. Mine are actually here, but they're from like a long time ago. But as soon as the stock goes, and this is the first thing I'm doing once we're off air this morning, is right now somebody could call away my shares. Literally say, okay, I want your shares for 140. Why would they do that? They wouldn't do that. People that are in options generally are trying to, more gambling mentality or speculative. They don't want to own the shares of Apple. Plus, to buy these shares from me, you have to cough up $14,400, and that's just to get 100 of them. So, not small beans for somebody that's out there in options. So what I'm going to do today is take this and I'm going to roll that option up to 150. Which is where I'm going to draw my next line and say, okay. And so I buy this one back from whoever owns it and say, okay, you're right. It went above 140. I'm going to buy that back. And with that, but I'm going to sell the 150 call with a further point out in time. And whatever I sell, I will go out far enough in time to cover the price of me calling or buying back the option. So it's going to cost me money to buy this one. I'm going to sell the one up at 150, and I'm going to do it in a way to where it's a break even for me. It doesn't cost anything to me one way or the other. I simply move up and out. So that's why when you hear traders say, or Options Animal or any of these options folks saying how to fix your trade, that's exactly what they're talking about. and how to basically just ride this through time. And they say, 99% winning trades. This is how you do it. You put options out there, and then you have to be aggressive at rolling them. So that is how you roll an option out and up. And literally, you can buy and sell options. It's a right click, put it in. You can buy and sell options just as fast as you can buy and sell equities once you know what you're doing, once you know what the lingo is. So if you want more on that, you can go to Investopedia and look up options and how to roll them out and up or in and down, another way. But I'm just, my mind was distracted here by the profit taking. And so this was up almost 20%, and it's like, boom, profit taking. So it'll come back down. Who knows where it'll go back? I don't think it comes back down to below 34. But again, if you were going to take a trade, wait for this to bottom out and then take it long again. That's how I would play the Palantir trade today. All right. Good discussion this morning. Thanks again for the input. We will see you guys back tomorrow morning. You guys have a good one.